out of 1,500 leads, there's 45 potential deals that we could get out of there if we're doing everything right. That is 4.2 leads per day, every single day that you need to be cultivating, working with. This is, just take 1,500 and divide it by 365. 4.21 leads per day you need to be focused on, working on, figuring out where that transaction is going to be, and able to decipher the ones that are not a good use of your time and where that deal lies and where that is.
Welcome to 10 Tenths, everyone, where we coach real estate agents out of burnout into high-performing businesses that fuel their lives. We are excited to have you all here with us. He is Garrett Fry. I am Matt Pinelli, and welcome to another episode, guys. Garrett, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. We talked about buying leads today. The power of buying leads.
Buying leads. Let's do it. We're going to talk about it. We're not suggesting that you buy leads. Although I will caveat before we dive into this, Garrett, that it's not necessarily a bad thing to buy leads. There's
the right time. Here's the thing. And I know we got to kind of announce what we're like, but I think the biggest thing here is that, and this is why it's not a bad thing, is that there's certain times that it's actually a great place and a great thing to do. There's also certain places that I'd love to get people to that they never have to do this again. Like they just get to go, why would I ever do that? That's a wonderful spot to get them to. So as we're starting this off, and Matt was doing the intro, and then we got down the rabbit hole here. For all of you at 10 Tenths, you want to go find out more about what we're doing and you want to check us out, go to YouTube, subscribe, like. If you want to learn more about our coaching program and what we got going on there as we go through this episode and what we're talking about today, and you're like, I like these guys. I want to hear more about these guys. I want to be in their world. We've got an incredible world built you can come be a part of. So we just want to encourage all of you, check that out there with amazing people, amazing community, great group coaching, great one-on-one coaching. So Matt.
Yeah.
Leads.
Buying leads. This is a business strategy decision. There's no right or wrong answer to anything that you do in terms of how you run your business. If there's a profit model that's there, like it can be a business. As long as it's serving people, it can be a business. And an ethical business is a good business.
But what started this, Matt, was...
Yeah, I'm going to get into that.
All right, yeah.
But what started this conversation was I sent Garrett a video today, and I just had interesting perspective. So Google's launching a new product, which is going to start displaying real estate listings, which, I mean, and the video is talking about some people going crazy of like, Google can stomp over every portal because they own the entire internet. And it's kind of true. I think about it, like, sure they could. But the big thing that they're doing is they're displaying buyer's agents next to these listings, not the listing agent, buyer's agents. And you can connect with a buyer's agent. And so it's not your listing, your lead. And then the video went into talking about, well, you need to be buying for placements and I'm paraphrasing. And so apologies if I don't get it 100% correct. But you need to buy leads. You should be buying these placements. Otherwise, you don't value your time. And you're not paying for advertising is the dumbest business decision that you could ever make. Basically implying that this is the way to advertise, in my opinion, because in the context, and I don't think that the person actually meant that, but in the context, you're basically saying you need to do this advertising or you're dumb. And
here's the cool part, Matt.
I don't agree.
But both you and I walked away with the exact same feeling. And I mean, we went and read all the comments. We're like, okay, we're not missing the point here. Everybody was like, I don't agree. Like, hold on a second.
It just doesn't. And so we're not recommending that you buy leads.
Yeah.
We might talk a little bit about it. If you do want to buy some leads, you need to have a model to support that type of business. Most of you who are listening don't have the model to support that type of business, which is totally okay and a good thing as well. Particularly if you're a solo operator. It's really hard to be a lead buyer when you're a solo operator because you don't probably have the infrastructure to do, at least what this video is saying is like, the consumers want to be directly connected with somebody. Yes, a consumer wants to connect with whoever or whatever they are engaging to right at that moment. Of course, I don't think real estate perusers are looking to get directly connected to a strange buyer agent who doesn't know the property right then and there. Though.
That's an interesting piece because they talk about in this video, like if a consumer is looking at buying a house, they want to be on the phone immediately with a agent that can help them out. And I actually disagree. I think in a marketplace right now where what we want is information and we want correct information right away. So now you have this listing. Yay, we get connected with the buyer's agent immediately. And I don't know what that solves. Matt, as you just said, they don't even know the property. They can't answer any questions immediately for me about that property. They can go look it up. They can go grab the listing. Am I talking to an agent? Yeah. I mean, I'm having a live conversation, but they can't necessarily immediately, let's say, answer all the questions. Different than talking to the listing agent who does have all the information on that property. I might need to wait a little bit to hear from them, but they can really give me the download on what this property is, what it's about. They've been in it. They've been in every room. They've had their hands on the finishes. They can speak to what that property is. So I don't know if the argument in there actually solves anything of people want to talk to somebody right away, because if that person can't give information, wasting my time. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
And the online platforms right now can give me that information very quick. I can pretty much go look at any property online and I can find the information that I need. And Matt, I think when we talk about buying leads, it was kind of gone down this line here of like, here, let me say it this way. There's a lot of programs out there that say to be successful, you need to be diversified in this business, which means you should be buying leads, you should be handling expireds, you should be doing open houses. You should also have a referral relationship, little database that you're cultivating over there. But they look at that as like every single one of those is a point of diversification. And this is the cool thing that I have found is when somebody realizes that, yes, buying leads is a point of diversification. And if Zillow or Google or whatever goes, oh, by the way, we're changing our algorithm and how that works, that point of diversification has changed. If you are doing expireds, that's great, unless you're in a marketplace where there's no expireds. That's a point of diversification. And when all of a sudden homes aren't really expiring anymore, or the ones that are expiring are just the duds that should have never been on the market to begin with, we don't want to work with them. Like, okay, that now has changed. I lost my point, my one point of diversification. I could continue to go down this line. This is why I always say you don't need to always buy leads forever. You don't need to be in that game, because when you build that relationship side, every single person is a point of diversification. If I have 150 people in there and one of them says, I'm moving to South Carolina, I'm not going to live in California anymore. Great, celebrate that with them, because I got 149 people that are still in here that are still going to use me, and I'm probably going to have another one come and fill, this position of the person that's leaving right now. So going back to, I think leads serve a purpose and they're the right thing, but I think we get blindsided out here that we have to do that to be successful in this business. And the video that way he said it was like almost along the lines of like, you're a loser if you're not buying leads. Hold on a second. Like, yeah, I got to put the brakes on that.
I do think potentially the intent was to say, hey, if you're just sitting around hoping that business is going to come to you without doing anything, that's not going to happen. I want to think that that was the intent behind it. Because here's the thing. Online leads, buying leads, particularly if you're going to spend your advertising dollars to collect online leads, because there's a way to advertise where you're actually doing brand advertising, brand awareness, a lot of different things. I mean, advertising can go across a lot of things that can do a lot of different things. But when you're specifically advertising in a lead purchase channel, you're looking at about, and there's tons of studies on this because Zillow and all the places track everything, 3%. Like that's your conversion rate. Right? So that is the average. Now, maybe you're better. I've worked with agents that are up in the 8 or 9%, which quite honestly, if you have a team operation, it's actually pretty lucrative. That can work.
Yep.
But what it takes to convert a stranger into a relationship that can lead to a transaction is a lot of touch points that most people just don't want to do. You got to be prepared to do that. You got to be prepared to have speed to lead. You got to be prepared to answer the phone right away. And most of you are not in the business to do that, right? And
usually in coaching, Matt, coaching calls will go like this. I'm spending all this money on this lead generation program. but they're just piling up in like an Excel spreadsheet, and I haven't been calling any of them back, and I'm not following up in the way that I should. Oh, and I got put on the penalty. I got put in the penalty box by the company that's giving me these leads because they can track and see that I'm actually not following up them, so they're not giving them to me anymore. Like it's this weird place that we get into, and it's like, it's great if you're going to do those leads. You better have a plan and a way to,
you need a system,
foster them. And I know a lot of agents, as they start to build out teams, if they choose to build out teams, I'm actually not a huge proponent in it, but you can have a division of your team that's like, guys, I'm going to buy leads. I got a program, and we're going to funnel them off to you, and you have the time to make the phone calls, make the follow-up. That is all I want you to be doing. Following up on these leads. Don't do anything else. When that deal actually comes to be a real deal, we're going to funnel that deal over to another agent over here who's actually going to list the house, who's actually going to help that buyer. And by the way, we're going to give you a whole pouch of new leads, and I just want you calling them, doing all the right stuff, and converting them for the team. That's an actual viable business that will make leads work at a very high level. Most people aren't going to do it themselves, and most people aren't going to build that crew. It's been done though. I've watched it successfully.
Well, and let's look at the architecture of this too, because the strategy I like better than buying leads is intercepting leads. Because when you buy leads, like, what are you truly advertising? A picture of your beautiful face and your phone number, or not even your phone number because they want to track it. So it's their phone number that routes to you. Right. So you're not advertising. There's no value proposition up front. Like, your face was on Google or Zillow or whatever platform, and then you just happen to be the one that was there. So they called you. So when the person comes in, they're like colder than cold. They may not even know your name. Like, it's happened. My wife was perusing, like, she's like, how cool are these houses upstate or whatnot? She's like, how do I tell this guy that, like, my husband's a realtor? I'm like, how do you even started talking to that guy? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, you clicked a button somewhere. So instead, intercept the leads. What does that mean? Well, why does someone become a lead, right? Now, why does someone actually click on a button? We'll use my wife as an example. Why did she click on that button? Well, because I was busy here podcasting with Garrett, right? I'm also not an active realtor, right? A bought lead, in my opinion, is a relationship that is lost. It is someone who hasn't had a relationship with a person. They don't have a trusted advisor. So now, does that mean that we need to go form relationships with everybody in the world? No, that would be really, really hard to do. Focus on your core first. As you said, Garrett, up front here, every single person is a point of diversification. So focus on them. Now, if we want to intercept new leads to come in, this is where you're networking, getting out there and knowing people, listening for change, and having the opportunity and using your own advertising dollars outside of those platforms to then attract people with good value that serves them before a transaction. What is the value that a homeowner is looking for? The market impact report is one of my favorite tools for this, Garrett. We've talked about this a lot. One, use this on your people for sure, but also people in your sphere. They ask you questions about real estate. You share a market impact report with them. You do certain things that bring value, that help you become a trusted resource in the world. So instead of clicking on, John Doe's pretty face on Google, they go, I got served up this house, and maybe I'm thinking of something. I'm going to give Garrett a call. He knows a lot. I want to talk to somebody who knows something. And let's be honest, my timeline's not like I need to buy this house today, because if I'm to that point, then there's something else that's going on. I'm going to give Garrett a call. If he's available, he'll take my call. If he's not, I know he's probably going to get back to me, because here's the thing. All of you are realtors, and if there's a voicemail on your phone that says, hey, I'm thinking about doing something, you are on it.
Yep.
Right. And that is intercepting a lead. And I'd rather see people intercept leads than buy them, because it's less money and they convert better.
Well, I was always introduced to that as orphan clients. So there's people in your area here. They've worked with a real estate agent. Somebody sold them this house. They worked with an agent, most likely. And now they're just an orphan client. They're kind of walking around, and when that time comes for them to actually want to buy or sell again, they're starting over from having someone they trust with real estate. Sometimes they will go back to the person who sold them the house, because that's the easiest thing. They're like, I wonder if so-and-so's still in the business. That happens all the time. When I look at like myself in my town, I'm technically an orphan client. The agents that sold me this house have picked up and moved away. They don't live here anymore. They didn't turn me over to anybody. They didn't say, hey, so-and-so is going to be handling our business now that we're not here, so they're going to take care of you. Didn't get that. And I know a handful of realtors in this town. I'm friends and connected with a handful of real estate agents. The interesting thing is that I don't have anybody that's taken me as theirs. And you can feel that when somebody's like, I got you. I got you covered. I'm going to be giving you information, giving you stuff of what's going on, things that are happening in the neighborhood, information that you might want to know about, home prices and what's going on. Nobody has taken ownership of me at all. And you're listening to this podcast, so I want you to pay attention to that, because the people that I know in my town do listen to this podcast. I think it's an interesting thing that we need to understand. There's a lot of people like me. We can go and buy these leads, or we can start to connect with these people around us and bring them in. And Matt, as you said, we don't need to take everybody in, but how many people do you need? This is where I think what's fun was when you look at the numbers of how real estate works, because people are on this movement of about every 7 years, they need to buy and they need to sell, and then they're probably going to buy another home. Like, just do the math on that right there. You got a database of 100 people, 14% of them have to turn in the next 12 months just to keep the average of 7 years working. Just for that right there. All of those people probably have 2 signs attached to them. So now we're looking at that and just double that number to figure out how many sides are probably going to come out of that group. How many people do you need? And then pile on the referrals on top of that, because we've taken such good care of them and we're their go-to trusted person in this marketplace, where they're like, when they're talking to a friend, they go, "Oh, I want to introduce you to so-and-so." You can own that space also in there. How many people do you need? Everybody knows 2 opportunities to refer in the next 12 months. I hope you guys are all sitting here doing the math, because a group of 100 people turns into a hell of a lot of opportunities for business in the next 12 months. You get a group of 200 people, oh my gosh, very quickly you have to stop and ask yourself, I need a small fraction of that to actually hit the goals and the business I want to have and live the life that I want to have. But we're so quick to go, but what if I bought some leads? What if I brought some strangers in, Matt? Oh.
Well, let's compare the math, right? At 3%, the high side of the average listing conversion, right? And so if you want to do 3 deals a month, that means you need to pull in by 100 leads per month to maybe get 3 deals out of that. And then you need to do it again the next month and the next month and the next month. Oh, and by the way, those contacts don't just go away in your database. They're there looking at you like, "Hey, have you talked to me before?" And you got a little ping like, maybe I should call this guy. And now all of a sudden the next 100 leads is getting diffused by the first 100 leads. And we've only converted, 3 to 6 of them in the last few months. And I'm running out of time to do this stuff. And then, okay, let me go do these deals. And I just won't worry about the leads. Then I get put in the penalty box, but then I got to go get the 100 leads back. Your process sounded a lot better to me, Garrett.
Well,
sounded a lot more comfortable.
So let's go backwards through this. So I use the number 1,500 for fun. Okay. 1,500 will give us the shot of having 45 closed deals by the end of the year. If I do it all, that's the 3% of 1,500.
Yeah.
Okay?
I mean, to be able to convert at that level, by the way, like you have your, 12-point follow-up program in the first week from when that lead lands. You're making the calls, you have the automated emails, you have the system reminders, you maybe have a team, you maybe have an ISA doing the work to actually convert at that.
At the top level, out of 1,500 leads, there's 45 potential deals that we could get out of there if we're doing everything right. That is 4.2 leads per day, every single day, that you need to be cultivating, working with. This is just take 1,500 and divide it by 365. 4.21 leads per day you need to be focused on, working on, figuring out where that transaction is going to be, and able to decipher the ones that are not a good use of your time and where that deal lies and where that is. There's, as you said, Matt, there's very few that can pull it off. Is there business there? And here's the other part that I find very interesting about buying leads. We'll buy these leads and I will have realtors justify to the death, but I got a transaction out of one last month. So it's a viable business opportunity.
Sure.
100% it is. But out of all the time you spent filtering through all these things to find that one deal that was there, what if we took all that money and all that time and put it into a group of about 100 people and just routinely, just all I got to do is take care of these 100 people. And you know what? The next month after that, what's my job? Take care of the 100 people. How about the next month after that? Same group of people, by the way. Just keep taking care of them. Keep giving them good information. Keep your postcards going to them. Let's just do that. Well, how about the next? What about next year? Oh, same group. That's the coolest thing. Same group. Just keep it going. And what happens is now we're 5 years into the business. When we first sold the home to them, they were buying the house because they were pregnant. Now we're celebrating a 5-year anniversary or birthday for their kid, and we're talking to them and still their person that they're keeping in touch with, and we're helping their referrals and the people that they have in their relationships. And then about year 7, when all of a sudden life changes, things are going on, we've now spent this time with them. We've got 7 years of potential referrals at 2 a year. We now have them that are showing up and saying, hey, we need your help again. Like, this whole cycle just keeps on going, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm going to lay one last thing, Matt. My favorite thing is when people have been doing this long enough and they're like, I don't need to sell any more homes. I don't need to make any more money. I just want to keep this level going. And what happens is they start to back off on some of their systems. But the problem in a good way is they have built this machine that is now running. It's going, the flywheel's spinning. And that next year they go, I didn't have to give the time or attention. I did more transactions though. I had more business come in, and I kind of didn't work as hard. And it's like, yeah, because the machine is going now. You got to get it kicked off and going. And this is where leads feel very successful, because I called 4 today. I know exactly where I stand with them. I'm doing business. Over here, we're celebrating kids' birthdays. We're, following up with them on a great trip that they did. This is a waste of my time. There's no business here. And that's why we fall off of it.
Yeah. Well, and we're marketed too. Like, this is what the industry markets to. And if you're brand new and you have no database, then yeah, you got to find people somewhere, right? And that's where advertising and putting your money into a lead program can potentially work, because, well, you got to hustle. You got to figure it out if you know nobody. I mean, we have other strategies that I think work way better than that, but that's an option. But why is this stuff pushed in the industry so much, Garrett? And I believe it's because if you look at the turnover rate of real estate agents, right? Everybody loves to cue the stat of the 70% that didn't do any deals in 25. Like, okay, whatever. How about the 70% that stopped selling real estate 5 years in, right? It's because there's this massive turnover. There's always new agents to sell leads to, because what you just described, when you get to that point where the business is running, like, nobody wants to buy leads. In fact, I would point, Ricky Carruth is a great example of this. And he's loud on social media. He was loud for many years. He wasn't even buying leads. He was mostly cold calling. His big thing was cold call strategy and everything. And now he's like, and you do that until you don't need to anymore, right? So even the guys who promote the cold calling and the prospecting all get to the point where they're like, I don't want to do that anymore. Yet nobody wants to do it. Everybody wants to do the relationships, and you get to have these beautiful moments. Stefan Horschelman, who's a great agent in Seattle, we had our call yesterday, Garrett, and he said, I had a graduation party over the weekend for my very first client. And he's like, it was so cool. He's like, because 16 years ago, I sold them their house and their son was 2 years old. And they invited me to his graduation party. So they have not moved, by the way, have not done another deal. He didn't mention whether he's gotten referrals from them or not over the years, but he stayed in communication with them in a way where they built a relationship and got invited to their kid's graduation party. And he said, it was so cool. On my way out, he stopped the party and said, everyone, this is our real estate agent, Stefan. He's amazing. He sends us notes. He sends us stuff. He's the best guy in the world. If you ever need an agent because you're thinking of buying or selling a house, you need to call Stefan. And he was like, what? Like, that was not planned. That was not anything. Like, talk about adding value. Like, how much value does that add? I mean, even if it doesn't turn into a lead right now, like, that feels good, right? Like, that you build a quality enough relationship where they still value that relationship 16 years later and are willing to do things like that at their son's graduation party.
That is the
They're-
epitome of screaming from the rooftops. Like
Yeah.
that is one of those moments that we go, oh my gosh, you didn't need to do that. But for every single person that's in that room that goes, he's that confident in that person and that ability and how they show up in my world that he's willing to put his reputation on the line at that level in front of all of his friends.
Yeah.
That's huge. If Stefan owned a restaurant and they were like, walking out the door, like, everybody, I just need to introduce you to this person. This is what they do. And by the way, he owns this restaurant downtown. Go down there and help them, support dinner down there, because we'll support them with showing up and eating down there. And I stand behind them. They're the best. Whatever the business might be. At what level do you give somebody that confidence to stand up and do that and put their self on the line like that? That's amazing. But that's what a true relationship is. That's what those connections can do. And then you wonder why that flywheel gets spinning in a way that's like, oh my gosh, business is just flying. Well, yeah, you start building people like that. It's pretty hard not to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so we started this with stats, Garrett. Let's kind of pull stats in at the end, which show NAR stats. Well over 60% of buyers and sellers find their real estate agent through a relationship. Either they already have the relationship with the agent, or it's a friend or a neighbor or someone who refers them to that relationship. Think about that. Here's another stat. About 20 to 25% of buyers and sellers after a deal recommend their agent to other people 4 or more times. 4 or more times. Only 35% never recommend their agent, which sounds like a lot, but that leaves over 60% recommending their agent and 25% 4 or more times. Those are stats that I would rather lean in on, Garrett, than a 2 to 3%, at best conversion rate from a purchased lead.
Well, here's the other stat to lean into, because this is one we all hang our hat on and get all bent and we stop doing our stuff. Everybody knows 10 real estate agents. This is one that I think we as real estate agents lock into. I'm not a realtor anymore, but we lock into on it's tough in the relationship side because everybody knows 10 real estate agents. Matt and I did our own research on this. We called a whole bunch of our friends, and what we found is on average, people knew like 4 real estate agents. Most of those people, when I said, who are you going to use? And they'd be like, well, there's one agent I really trust. That showed up for a couple of those people. And I had one guy that was like, I know a handful. I wouldn't use any of them. And when I asked him, I said, how would you find your realtor if you were to sell your home today? He goes, I would go ask my friends who they use and they trust.
Yep.
Like, this is a very comfortable route for most people to go when they're doing this. And so lose sight, let go of how many realtors people know, lose sight of how many realtors are in your community, because most of them aren't keeping in touch with all their clients or the people out there. And just say, how can I start showing up for people that I can earn that spot? How can I show up in a way that they go, you know what? If I had a real estate question or if I needed real estate help, I would turn to Matt Pinelli, because he's just the guy that I know the best in this industry that knows real estate. Seems like a really nice guy too. Seems to understand the important stuff that's going on in my world. I feel confident and comfortable with that. How can we build those types of things? And Matt, this is what I've helped people do for 20 years. There's a reason I've got a whole handful of people. I've got 31 people I coach right now, one-on-one. And most of them, there's only a couple that are buying leads right now. The rest of them are just making their phone calls, going to lunches, hanging out with their people, and got a couple of them doing $1 million this year in GCI. Like, I hate to say it, you don't have to buy leads, but you definitely need to show up for your people. And the best part is that there isn't a right path. Just understand what your options are.
I'll also say this, one other thing to just stack on top of this and in conclusion, with the rapid pace of development of people being able to deploy apps and strategies, and more and more people using chat and Claude and Gemini for their just regular search queries now. Like, the whole lead game is going to change, and the what doesn't change is the output. the number of people who buy and sell homes every year. I do believe that there are people who don't buy and sell homes because they don't have a trusted advisor in their corner. And so the only way to increase that transaction volume is for people to have quality conversations with a realtor. And if we're focused on lead tools, we're never going to get to that space. So those leads are also going to either get more expensive or outrageously diluted because that same lead's now going to go through all these different platforms. And you're better off designing your own tech if you wanted to do it, or just do exactly what we said here, develop the relationships. So if you don't have the database, find the places where you can go build quality relationships, and then those will turn into real estate opportunities. And for now, if you can find a source, if you have to go buy a lead or something, okay, fine. But make sure you have the system to engage that person, to build the relationship first so that you can actually take care of them. Otherwise, you're just going to be spinning your wheels.
You said something really important, which is there are people out here right now this last year that did not do a real estate transaction because they didn't have someone to ask a question to. Yeah. Which means they didn't just go on the internet and go like, hey guys, what should I do? I'm thinking about doing this. They're not comfortable doing that. So they just kick the can down the road. And all of a sudden, when you are just in somebody's world and you're around and you're trusted by them and you're showing up, the opportunities for them to say, hey, I got a question I want to ask of you, Matt. And the opportunity for you to help them find clarity and to find a path. How many people don't invest in the stock market because they don't even know how to enter it and they don't know what to do with it? How many people didn't buy a car this year because it's inconvenient, it's difficult, it's not a fun thing. So let's just keep the car that we have. How many people didn't move out of their home because it's like, I don't know how to approach this. I think I need to do some remodeling, but maybe I don't. Should I do paint? Maybe I shouldn't. Should we remodel the kitchen? Should we not? You know what? Let's not do this right now. How often does that happen? And if you had that person that you could just be like, hey, can I ask you a question? Would all of a sudden, you might go buy that car. You might all of a sudden invest in a stock. You might all of a sudden go and say, you know what, let's go get that house that we wanted because we know how to do it. Dude, Matt, I hope people caught that because you're not gaining a transaction that's sitting there. You're helping a transaction or you're helping that sale come to life by being that person in their world. All right.
Yeah. It's not just about the numbers.
For all of you that have been hanging out with us and been part of this podcast, I want to say thank you so much. Matt and I have a belief, which is your business should fuel your life. It should not consume it. And one of the things that we have watched is when you build these relationship businesses, you have a business that fuels your life. It raises the bar on all levels of your life because it all works harmoniously with each other. And so if that feels right to you, I want you to come check us out. Matt wants you to come check us out at 10tenths.co. You can go download our app. You can come and check out one of our group coaching calls. You can come to us and say, hey guys, what would it look like to coach with you, either one of you one-on-one? We're here to have those conversations. We'll help guide you and make sure that you can find the right path for you in our world. And with that being said, thank you so much. Come check us out on YouTube if you want to see what our faces look like. You can like, subscribe. Subscriptions help us out so much. When people hear the word subscription, they think, oh my gosh, what do they want me to pay for? Nothing. YouTube subscriptions are free, and it's amazing because it actually helps us go out and reach more people. So thank you. We appreciate you. Matt, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Bye, everyone.